Good morning, students. Today we are going to discuss the topic Assessment in Pedagogy of Physical Science. Assessment in Pedagogy of Physical Science. First, we are discussing measurement and evaluation. First, what is measurement? What is evaluation? So, measurement and evaluation is very important concept in education. The term measurement and evaluation are sometimes used interchangeably. The education of these two terms are used separately. So, measurement and evaluation is very important concept in education. The term measurement and evaluation are sometimes used interchangeably. So, the education in these two terms are used separately. Then next we are discussing definition of measurement. According to James Bradfield, measurement is the process of assigning numerical values according to well-established rules to animate and inanimate objects as per the nature of units of what is being accessed. Measurements are physical and the tools used are length of meters, weight of kilograms, hectares, temperature, time, etc. The next one, evaluation. Evaluation is an important component of teaching learning process. It helps teachers and learners to improve teaching and learning. It provides a picture of where the student sees how he is progressing. Evaluation is a continuous process. It helps in forming the value of judgment, education status or achievement of students. Evaluation should be related to the instructional objectives in all three domains. But these are the domains already we are discussing: cognitive, affective and psychomotor. Teachers must acquire knowledge and understanding about the various aspects of evaluation and its applications on classroom. Evaluation is a deciding process in which the usefulness of the subject matter is decided. The next one, definition of evaluation. According to Bradfield and Mortec, evaluation is the assignment of symbols to phenomena in order to characterize the worth of value of a phenomenon, usually with the reference to some social, cultural or scientific standard. According to Bloom says that evaluation is the process of determining the extent to which an objective is being attained, the effectiveness of teaching learning experiences provided in classroom and the manner in which the goals of education have been accomplished. Evaluation may be defined as a systematic process of determining the extent in which the educational objectives are achieved by the pupils. The next one, educational objectives. From the triangle we draw, there are three sides. All the three sides are interrelated. So, in this educational objectives, learning experience, evaluation process, or these three steps are interrelated in this evaluation method. The objectives of teaching constitute the pivot of the evaluation procedure. Learning experience and tests are directed towards these objectives. Tests and examinations are naturally involved in the process of evaluation. Examinations based on objectives of teaching and learning experiences evaluate them also at the same time. Evaluation is different from measurement. Measurement implies only a precise quantitative assessment of outcomes of instruction, whereas the evaluation signifies a wider and more comprehensive and continuous process of assessing student progress. Evaluation is equal to measurement plus value judgment. Measurement is the quantitative and value judgment also a quantitative. So the evaluation is both quantitative and qualitative process. Okay, so measurement, value, judgment. The next one, assessment. In assessment, teacher gathers, summarize and interpret data to determine which strategies to implement to further enhance learning experience. Assessment are an integral part of teaching and learning. It requires planning specific ways to use assignments and discussions to discover what students do and do not understand. The insight we gain by making assessment a regular part of instruction enable us to meet the needs of the students who are eager for more challenges and to provide intervention for those who are struggling. The next one, types of evaluation. There are three types of evaluation. First one, formative evaluation, summative evaluation, and diagnostic. There are two types of evaluation, formative and summative evaluation. Formative evaluation and summative evaluation. Formative evaluation. Formative assessment provides feedback and information during the instructional process while learning takes place and while learning is occurring. Formative assessment measures students' progress, but it can also assess your own progress as an instructor. For example, when in completing a new activity in class, you can through observation and surveying the students determine whether or not the activity should be used again. A primary focus of formative assessment is to identify areas that may need improvement. These assessments typically are not graded and act as a gauge to students' learning progress and to determine teaching effectiveness. The first one is formative evaluation is used during the teaching learning process to monitor the learning process. The next one, formative evaluation, is developmental in nature. The aim of this evaluation is to improve students' learning and teachers' teaching. Then third one, generally teacher-made tests are used for this purpose. Then fourth one, the test items are prepared for the limited content area. It helps to know what extent the instructional objectives have been achieved. It provides feedback to the teacher and to modify the methods and to prescribe remedial works. The next, only few skills can be tested in this evaluation. It is a continuous and a regular process. It considers evaluation as a process. It answers to the question whether the progress of the people is a unit is successful. So these are the formative evaluation process. Formative evaluation is the developmental in nature. The aim of this evaluation is to improve students' learning and teachers' learning. So the teacher-made tests are used for this purpose. The test items are prepared for the limited content area. It helps to know what extent the instructional objectives have been achieved. It provides feedback to the teacher to modify the methods and to prescribe remedial works. Only a few skills can be tested in this evaluation. It is a continuous and regular process. It considers evaluation as a process. It answers to the question whether the progress of the pupils in a unit is successful. The next one, types of formative assessment. Observation during in class of students, non-verbal feedback during lecture, homework exercises as review for exams and class, reflections journal that are reviewed periodically during the semester, question and answer sessions both formal and planned and informal spontaneous, conferences between instructor and the students at various points in the semester, in class activities where students informally present their results, students' feedback collected by periodically answering specific questions about the instruction and their self-evaluation of performance and progress. The next one, summative evaluation. Summative evaluation takes place after learning has been completed and provide information and feedback that sums up the teaching and the learning process. Typically, no more formal learning is taking place at this stage other than incidental learning which might take place through completion of projects and assignments. Summative evaluation is used after the course completion to assign the grades. Summative evaluation in terminal in nature. Its purpose is to evaluate the students' achievement. Summative evaluation is also generally standardized tests are used for the purpose. The test items are prepared from the whole content area. It helps to judge the appropriateness of the instructional objectives. It helps the teacher to know the effectiveness of the instructional procedure. A large number of skills can be tested in this evaluation. It is not regular and continuous process. It considers evaluation as a product. It answers to the questions the degree to which the students have mastered the course content. Then types of summative assessment. Examinations. The examination means major high stakes exams. Final examination, a truly summative assessment. Term papers. Drafts submitted throughout the semester would be a formative assessment. Project phases submitted at various completion points could be formatively assessed. The next one, portfolios could also be accessed during its development for a formative assessment. The next one, performances. The next one, students' evaluation of the courses. The next one, instructor self-evaluation. So, examination, final examination, term papers, projects, portfolios, performances, students' evaluation of the course, instructor self-evaluation. The next one, diagnostic text. The first one is formative evaluation and some types of evaluation. Then we are discussing diagnostic test. A test designed to identify and investigate the difficulties, disabilities, inadequacies and gaps of pupils in specific curriculum area with a view to helping them overcome those difficulties through remedial instruction is called a diagnostic test. Diagnostic tests are used to know the student's weakness and strength in a certain course of study. They help us to find the learning difficulties of students in learning a topic or unit. Diagnostic tests are designed to analyze individuals' performance and provide information on the causes of difficulties. For different units, different pupils may have difficulty at different levels. It is duty of the teacher to find out such difficulties by conducting diagnostic tests and help the pupils to overcome the difficulties by remedial teaching. Diagnostic tests become relevant on two occasions: before introducing a new unit and after teaching a unit. What is required in the first case is to diagnose the deficiencies concerning prerequisites for learning the new material, in the absence of which learning will be quite impossible. This is, in other words, may be considered as pre-diagnostic test. The second case is concerned with the diagnosis of the difficulties that might be felt after learning the new material. A test mean for this purpose may be said to be a post-diagnostic test. Both are equally essential for effective learning at mastery level. Then types of diagnostic assessment. Pre-test, self-assessments, discussion board responses, interviews. Pre-test means contents and abilities. Self-assessment means identifying skills and competencies. Discussion board responses means content-specific prompts. Interviews mean brief, private and 10-minute interview of each student. Then construction of a diagnostic test. There are 5 steps in the construction of a diagnostic test. The first step is purposeful planning. The first step is purposeful planning. Second test is analysis of the learning material concerned. Third step, writing of test items. And fourth one, division of items into small sections. Fifth one, provision of clear instruction. The first one, purposeful for planning. The aims at the identification of the learning materials that are known to have potential difficulties. An experienced teacher can identify such areas by proper analysis. Such areas will have more weightage in the test. Then next one, analysis of the learning material. Next one is the analysis of the voice material concerned. The content should be thoroughly analyzed first into teaching points. Each teaching point may include a number of stages. These stages should be arranged in the sequential order of difficult as well as logical sequence. This is the very important step that needs great care and insight. The next one, writing of test items. Writing of test items representing all the minute steps arising out of analysis. Arrange these items in the order taking into consideration both sequence of the stage and difficulty level. Now 4 or 5 objective type questions may be asked from each difficult area. Only objective questions should be asked for diagnostic test. The next one, division of items into small sections. Sometimes the total number of items will be very large and then more time will be required to work out of these items. In such cases, items may be divided into 2 or 3 sections to suit convenience of the learners. The subtest thus obtained may be administered on different occasions. The next one, provision of clear instruction. Very clear instruction should be given as to what the people should do and how. If they find any difficulty with a particular item, they should be directed to pass on to the next item without wasting time. The next one, diagnostic chart. The particular about the right or wrong responses of the pupils for various test items in the diagnostic test are recorded in a tabular form. It is known as diagnostic chart. The chart enables us to find out the locate pupils and their difficulties. Also, we find out how many require remedial teaching in the particular difficult area. Then analysis of the result of a diagnostic test. The result of a diagnostic test has to be analyzed with a view to find out exact area in which the difficulties exist and determine what exactly the nature of each difficulty is. This may be done with respect to the group tested as well as for each individual students. The former is meant to locate difficulties general for the group, while the latter aims at helping each individual student solve specific difficulties of his own. On the basis of this analysis, the reason for each difficulty has to be determined. This process is one that requires both competence and imagination arising out of experience. Then remedial teaching. Remedial teaching is the process of instruction that follows immediately after diagnostic testing and analysis of its result. After the difficulties area located, it is the duty of the teacher to give remedial teaching. A program action for the remedial teaching should be formulated and carried out. Usually, the difficulty of the pupils will not be the same. Hence, the remedial teaching caters to the individual differences of the students. It is actually an individualized instruction and after school hours are utilized. The remedial teaching may be some of the remarks in this remedial teaching. Reteaching the topics. Teaching the topics using new methods of teaching and techniques. Individualized instruction like programmed learning, simple experiments, projects, preparation of models, charts, etc. Then simple home assignments. This program may not always need a separate time allocation for the term, but they will always mean some extra work for the teachers and the affected students. By giving successful experiences to the affected student, the teacher is taking a great step towards rebuilding his morale and integrating his personality. By success in remedial teaching, the resistant children become cooperative, apprehensive children become self-confident, discouraged children become hopeful, and socially maladjusted children become acceptable to the group. Then, distinction between diagnostic test and achievement test. Education measurement has two essential aspects: how much content has been learned and accessed by an achievement test. Why a particular learner could not learn a whole content. The special aspects leading to the difficulty, etc., are identified by a diagnostic test. These types of tests are essential for educational evaluation. Achievement test helps to know the extent of realization of learning outcomes, where the diagnostic test provides the basis for improving the learning process or developing remedial instruction. The achievement tests are usually quantitative, where the diagnostic tests are qualitative. The diagnostic tests look for not only the performance on the test but also the background of the students. The items in a diagnostic test are arranged in the order of learning sequence. In an achievement test, items are arranged in the order of difficulty levels of the items. A very important distinction between these two in the extent of coverage of the learning material. In order to diagnose difficulties, a diagnostic test will have to cover all many aspects in the content. Achievement test need not always in such a pattern. Then standardized test. Achievement test. Achievement test constitute an important tool of evaluation. It is directly related to students' growth and development in education situation. This is used to find out how much had been learned by the students. Achievement test measure the quantity of learning attained in a subject. Any test in that measures attainment of accomplishment of an individual after a period of training or learning is called achievement test. Achievement test can be classified teacher-made test and standardized test. Teacher-made achievement test can be used by the teachers for particular classroom purposes, and standardized test can be used to drive general conclusions and may be used for research purposes. Then purposes of achievement test. Achievement tests are universally used in the classroom. They provide basis for promotion of students to the next class. The next one, they find out the beginning of a course or a year where each student stands in various subjects. They help the teacher to see himself how effectively he is teaching. Then they help to test the achievement of the objectives or planned instruction. They help to find out the knowledge, understanding, application and the skill of the students. They are useful in classify the students. Then they help to find out the success of the method of teaching followed by the teacher. The purpose of achievement is they provide basis for promotion of students to next class. They find out beginning of a course or a year where each student stands in various subjects. They help the teacher to see himself how effectively he is teaching. They help to test the achievement of the objectives of planned instruction. They help to find out the knowledge, understanding, application and skill of the students. They are useful in classifying the students. They help to find out the success of the method of teaching followed by the teacher. Then types of achievement test. Standardized achievement test and teacher-made achievement test. Standardized test. Standardized tests are tests which have been carefully constructed by experts after analysis and revision. For these tests, reliability, validity and norms are already known. For knowing validity and reliability and maintain norms, test is first administered to a sample group and then it made as a standardized tool. They have explicit instructions for standard administrations and a table of norms for score interpretation. Objective type questions are the best suited for standardization. The next one is teacher-made test. These types of tests are going to be prepared by the teachers for their classroom purposes through which conclusions suitable for the classroom alone may be drawn. General conclusions cannot be derived. The effectiveness of such tests depends upon the skill of the teacher. Rule of scoring and administration also determined by the teacher. Such tools are evaluated by teacher only. The next one, oral test. How many questions are asked orally and the students are supposed to give their answers orally. It is useful in measuring the development of subject matter in students daily and continuously attract the attitude of the students towards the subject. Oral tests are very economical compared to written test. An advantage of this test that a large number of areas or lessons can be covered and the knowledge of students can be tested. It is less time consuming. The main advantages of this test is that it is difficult to test each student on the basis of total syllabus. Then paper pen test. It is commonly available classroom test where you have to write the answers in the answer sheet for the questions printed on a question paper. Almost all our classroom tests are of this kind of this test. By this test, large number of students can be covered in a short period. The examinees will have written proof regarding the achievement of the students. The next one, practical test. This type of test is used to test the practical knowledge and experiment done in the laboratory and also the skill of doing the experiment. The students are asked to write the principle and procedure of this experiment, also record the observation in their answer sheets. From the recorded value, they arrive at the conclusion. The next one, types of test items. There are three types of test items: objective type, short answer type, and essay type. Objective type. In the objective form of questions, the answers are completely controlled and therefore the assessment becomes objective and impartial. That is the reason why these are known as the objective type questions. Here the word objective is used in the sense of being not subjective or purpose. Objective type of test items can be broadly classified into supply type and selection type. For supply type items, the students have to supply the response, whereas the selection type, they have to select the response from among the given responses. Then advantages of objective type. It can be scored objectively and easily. It is very good tool for ensuring coverage. A large amount of study materials can be tested in the short period. It reduces the subjective element of the examiner to minimum. It reduces the role of luck and cramming or expected questions. It creates an incentive for pupils to build up broad-based knowledge, skills, and abilities. Using these type of tests, thousands of examinees can be tested and evaluated in short period of time without difficulty. The test can be easily conducted by giving necessary instructions. The next one. Short answer type. As the name signifies, such questions expected brief to the point, limited short answers. A question requires 3 value points at the most may be defined as a short answer questions. The term value points indicate a point to be given credit in the expected answer. Thus the length of the answer expected from a short answer questions become very short. This diminishes subjectivity. In this way, it is an improvement upon essay type questions. Such questions are the great help in having wide coverage of content, and each item can be set to this step to test a definite objective. Then advantages of short answer types. A relatively large portion of the content can be covered in a test. It is easy to construct because it measures relatively simple learning outcome. Scoring is relatively easy compared to essay type questions. It provides little opportunity for guessing as the examiner is required to supply specific information. Then it can be made quite objective, carefully fixing up the value points. Then it is useful in evaluating and objective in diagrams, charts, graphs, etc. Then limitations of short answer type. It is more subjective than objective types of items. Its excessive use may encourage students to memorize facts and develop poor study habits. Mechanical scoring is not possible because of the subjectivity is involved. Third one, essay type. This is the age-old traditional type of questions. as well as known as the frequently used in our country. An essay type test item is a free response test item. The student is free to give the answer of a question as he like. The test is used to find out whether the student know information clearly and are able to present them and explain them in a logical sequence. Then advantages of essay type question. The essay type questions are easy to prepare. The method of administering this type of test is simple. Essay type is quite useful in measuring certain very important abilities to the child. They are helpful for appraisal of skills. The comprehension of the subject matter as a whole is encouraged. They encourage grasp of language and ask for effective expression from the examiners. Limitations: they are subjective in nature. They cannot comprehensively cover the content. Through essay type items, proper evaluation of specific abilities of the students cannot be made. The essay type examiners do not possess sufficient validity. Only those who are able to express fluently their ideas and writing are able to score good marks. So these are the three types of test items: objective type, short answer, and essay type. There are two types of we are discussing two types of evaluation: formative evaluation and summative evaluation, and also we are discussing achievement test and diagnostic test and types of test items. Thank you.